No,
And we lost Mark. How did we lose Mark? It's Selection Monday, and Mark has gone missing. What a horrible beat. There he is.
Poor Mark.
It had me backstage there. I don't know what was going on. They just wanted me in the backstage. It's cool though.
You were on the
back,
bubble.
College
You were on the
Baseball
wrong
Central
side of the bubble.
fans.
You got left out.
Hey, it happens. I could be one of those teams that's on the bubble. I'm bubble out for CBC. It's crazy. Thanks for joining us again, guys. Special edition here. We're going to be doing the live show. As you see, we have a space up there. We are going to be having the live television broadcast as we go along with our live reactions. I'm joined today by our wonderful panel. Everybody's been on the show, I believe, this year, everybody except for Monty. How's it going, fellas? Jake McKeever, Andrew Riddell, Micah Butel, and Noah Darling. I got all you guys on today, man. Are we pumped and just ready for this freaking release show?
I'm actually about to tune out because after the top four were released and it's all SEC teams, I don't even know why I'm on this show at this point because it's clearly just going to be like Texas A&M. Congratulations, you've made the NCAA tournament. Missouri, congratulations. South Carolina. Clearly, the SEC is the only conference that matters in this sport. So, guys, it's been nice. I'm actually hopping off the show because there's no point in me being on this. If you guys didn't know, the NCAA tournament road to Omaha was actually this past weekend in Hoover, based off the committee's thoughts.
Apparently,
that's where Omaha starts.
Yeah, I clearly had UNC up in the top 5. I had them at 3 in my thought process. But let's go through these 16 sites. So we got Vanderbilt, Texas, UNC, Arkansas, Georgia, Auburn, Oregon State, Coastal Carolina, LSU, University of Oregon, Ole Miss, Clemson, Florida State, Tennessee, UCLA, Southern Miss. Mike, I'm going to talk to you first about this because I know that you and I kind of felt the same here. I projected Tennessee in, but I thought that they should have possibly been out. I didn't have Southern Miss in. I really thought Georgia Tech and TCU should have been in this tournament bracket. I thought that they should have been hosts. To not have a Big 12 team and to not have another ACC team, there's no way you can tell me that the SEC is 5 bids better than every other conference. That's crazy to me, Micah.
I should have saw it coming after the softball stuff where it was all SEC teams as regional hosts for that. They're different committees. So I was like, oh, okay, maybe there's a chance we're going to actually value things differently in baseball. I mean, let's just stop calling it regionals. Like, why are we calling it regionals anymore if we're just going to put everybody in one little corner of the country? I'm not saying the SEC doesn't play the best baseball. I don't think any of us here would pretend like the SEC is not the best conference in college baseball. But it's okay, we're going to put everybody in the Southeast, which then, because we think the SEC is better, punishes conferences like the ACC and the Big 12 because then we give two bids to the Big 10. Noah, you were at the Big 10 tournament. Did any of those teams hosting win that conference tournament? By the way, the worst power conference in college baseball. Last I checked, no. So somehow here we are where UCLA is going to be playing in a dumpster fire of a ballpark hosting a regional. No offense, UCLA, but like, come on. Georgia Tech deserves that more than UCLA does. So does TCU. I mean, and then they just released their top 4 and it's all the SEC teams. It's Arkansas, it's Vandy, it's Texas, it's Auburn. Like, what the heck did North Carolina need to do to be able to be at the end of the day, being a top 4 doesn't really matter all that much. As long as you're a top 8, that's what matters. But it's kind of painting a picture of like I know we're going to get to it later, and I know it was kind of a joke when I put out just an interesting fun fact about A&M's record versus hosts. Guys, Texas A&M might actually make the tournament based off how things are trending right now. Like, I know this is like sarcasm, but like, come on. Like, the SEC is clearly getting a you are better than everybody else pedestal right now. And that has me very concerned for teams like Oklahoma State, for Virginia, Miami, Arizona State, go down the list. So,
yeah, I mean, to me, it clearly leans that, hey, Kentucky's probably in at the 13 wins. If they're going to put those 4 teams as the host, that's crazy to me. Noah, Big 12, Big 10 guy for us here. Your thoughts on not having the TCU, or, I mean, you could have even snuck Arizona in if you wanted to say, hey, they won the conference tournament, they did all the things. But I thought TCU was the easy one with their RPI, and everything else pointed to me saying TCU should be in. They were in my bracket. How does that go about, like, where we just don't even have a Big 12 team hosting?
Yeah, I tweeted yesterday a couple times that based on certain events like the Sun Belt and the Big Ten tournament shaking out the way that they did, that I had TCU and Arizona both hosting if it were me. I knew that the committee wouldn't give them both, but I was pretty shocked that TCU did not get one of those. I really wasn't expecting it for Arizona, but looking at TCU, I think that the way that they scheduled said a lot. They did lose that series to Southern Miss, which might have been the difference maker. If Southern Miss comes in as the 16 seed, I think that's when we see, okay, that was the difference maker between them and TCU. But if Southern Miss is any higher than that, I'm going to have a lot of questions about that, especially if UCLA is at 16, because I think TCU is far more deserving than them to host a regional.
100%.
It might
I
have
mean,
boiled
UCLA
down.
lost a game to Northwestern 2 weeks ago. Like, that's
Sure.
the part that really got me.
It's
They,
100%.
not very many quad one wins for the Bruins. There was the
No.
question of whether they would even be at their home ballpark. I did see that they have extended the contract or whatever
They
to
did extend
July,
the contract,
so I guess
they will be playing at Jackie
they are
Robinson
good
Stadium.
to go there. But it just felt like the perfect storm for TCU, and UCLA and Southern Miss both lost. I could have understood it if UCLA and Southern Miss both won.
Yeah.
But it's kind of just strange to me. I question UCLA's resume from even being in the hosting conversation.
Yeah. Jake, 8 SEC teams, and it's to me it's too many. I don't think that you should take 8 teams from any one conference. I know that yes, their RPI gets to stay up there, but they play each other. That's why their RPI stays up there. A lot of these teams don't even leave their home state until the end of March, maybe even April. How's your feelings there as being our SEC guy and seeing that there are 8 teams hosting this year?
It's been a weird one for me in terms of like a pecking order standpoint, where I thought the hierarchy of the conference was based off resumes. Auburn being in the top 4 is a little bit shocking to me.
Shocking.
I thought it was going to be LSU. I thought that, LSU had, a backdoor in to be the number 1 overall seed at the beginning of the tournament. Again, Auburn loses to an A&M team that's out of the tournament, and that pushes them over an LSU team that beat that A&M team. And then the other one, too, is I know a lot of people are going to say, like, oh, 8's a lot. Is Alabama metrically should have been a host based off of the resumes of past hosts, and Tennessee jumps them. That was the one that really kind of shocked me is Tennessee lost 5 of 6 down the stretch. Yes, Alabama didn't have it, but if you're going to give it to Tennessee, I feel like you have to give it to Alabama just based metrically. But, I mean, Tennessee should not be a host over TCU. I don't know what kind of voodoo the committee has against TCU, but they get left out last year as, when I went and pulled the numbers, it was the biggest injustice of any team that had missed the tournament that should have been in. And then this year, again, they probably should have been a host. I think the committee is saying you either need to be in the SEC or you need to dominate a subpar conference.
It basically tells you to go kick rocks if you're not in the SEC at this point. They're just like saying, hey, you don't matter if you're not in the SEC, which is crazy to me. Honestly, Ole Miss, if they don't get to that final, they shouldn't be a host. They shouldn't be in the hosting conversation. 16 wins to me should not be a host, shouldn't be in that conversation. I wouldn't have had Alabama, I wouldn't have had Tennessee, and I wouldn't have had Ole Miss in there. But that's not the way the committee viewed it. So it's crazy. The fact that UNC did not get a top 4 seed is absolutely insanity to me. This is a team that went out. They lost the regular conference in the last week, the very last game. They could have won the regular season and the postseason conference. It's probably the most complete team by far outside of the SEC. They have the most pitching. They have the best hitting right now. They're a hot team. They're a popular team. It's not like they haven't been to Omaha before. So to keep them out of the top 4 to me was crazy. Andrew, you were out there with some of those bid stealers. I see you got your Tulane stuff on today. Just missing out to that ECU. Now we're going to talk about some of these. We're down to a lot of spots. We had 35 bubble teams coming in. 11 of those went to SEC most likely. 4 are going to independent, Big West, Conference USA, and American conferences, all stealing more bids. SEC's getting 7 in, other than their at large. 2 from the Big 10 and 3 from the Big 12. That leaves us 8 spots for these teams here. Talk about a little bit about these bubble steals and how this really affects the last 8 spots now we have.
So, yeah, we had some bubble steals this week. Obviously, the big shocking one, in my opinion, is East Carolina taking it away from UTSA. In the CUSA, we technically did have a bubble steal with Western Kentucky. And then in the Big Ten, Nebraska over UCLA. If you were a Xavier fan, a Troy fan, a UConn fan, or even, hate to say it, a Texas A&M fan, you were probably really mad this weekend watching these teams lose. It's gotten to a rough patch now. We're starting to look at a lot of just RPI metrics. It's going to be difficult for a lot of these teams to even find their way in. Something to note, the head of the committee is Southeastern Louisiana's athletic director, and Southeastern Louisiana does have a top 60 RPI. The Southland was also a bid stealer with number 6, Houston Christian, taking that one. So we've seen in years past with Florida and UNC in different sports. I don't think we'll see a big shocker like Southeastern Louisiana though today.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't even know if the Southland counts as a bid steal because I don't think that UT Rio Grande is going to get in now. I think that they might be
No.
on the bubble out, and they were the team that was number 1 in that conference heading into this.
Mark, I
with
should say
Southeast and
something
Louisiana.
about the
Yeah.
Southland. So I actually got the stat from the Southland Conference that the Southland one has had a 2-bid league before.
Yep.
It's happened 4 times. In those last 3, this year's has had a higher average RPI. The teams that are on the bubble have had a higher RPI than teams that have made it in the past. So I think that the Southland could be a 2-bid league, but again, those bid stealers kind of really murky up the waters for them, if you will.
No, it's
It
dead,
does.
Jake. Because back in those numbers, the SEC didn't get 14 teams in. I mean, I'm being serious. Like,
yeah, it's
back when
it's
that
too
was
many
happening,
teams.
like conferences had balanced amount of bids.
Yeah.
That's not the case anymore. As a pro Southland guy right here, I want 5 Southland teams if possible. Like,
Yeah,
it's just not going to happen, unfortunately.
I'm only
And then,
automatically counting
State. Put in
4 teams in
Northwestern
from
State.
Big 12 right now, too, guys. I'm only counting 4 teams in from Big 12 because I'm thinking that they're in trouble. I think that there's only going to be 3 Big 10 teams that get in. I think Iowa's on the way out. Here's the problem, guys. If you're talking about all that math I did leaves us 8 spots for 17 of these teams that probably deserve to be in this tournament, because I think that now you're going to start looking. I even threw Kentucky and A&M on this list as kind of like, oh, A&M probably shouldn't be on this list. But my goodness, man, if that's how they're going to view this conference, I don't know, man. I don't even know how it's going to go. Let's talk about Cincy first here. No, I'm going to let you talk about Cincy and Kansas State. So Cincy is 16-14 in conference. They went 32-24 overall, 33 in the RPI. Kansas State went 17-13 in conference, 31-24, 37 in the RPI. Those are 2 squarely on the bubble, and their RPI is high enough that says that they should be in this tournament. But the way the committee is viewing it, I don't know if they're going off this RPI.
Every model out there has Cincinnati in the NCAA tournament. You mentioned that 33 RPI, I believe it was. They did enough, in my opinion. They won a conference tournament game. I think that was the cherry on top of their resume. Obviously, when you look at a resume, you can't really factor in storylines too much. But the Big 12 Player of the Year, Carrington Cross, is on Cincinnati, and
Agreed.
that's a star in the making. That he's really old, so not much in the making in college baseball, but a future professional baseball player that has had a tremendous season. That alone is enough for me to make the NCAA tournament. You can't really credit players, but the storyline is there if you're wondering about Cincinnati, and I think that they're in every projection for those reasons. And then with Kansas State, D1 Baseball has had Kansas State as a 2 seed. I haven't looked at their latest projection or anything, but I believe that they are close to the bubble than some are leading on. But they do have an associate AD on the committee, which we do live in a world where, as Xavier's coach and I mentioned just yesterday, Billy O'Connor was saying, why don't these models say, here's what should happen, here's not, as opposed to, oh, the committee always does this, so we're just going to go ahead and predict it. That's really not how you change things. That's not how you hold people accountable. Because back in the day, we would have said, oh, that's obvious collusion, whereas now we're just kind of bracing for it. I think that's a little bit backwards. But I do think Kansas State is in the tournament. But, Mark, I know you like to, as the show goes on, really count the numbers, which I appreciate because it's kind of smart. Whereas I kind of just like to watch and wait and see what happens at the end. So you're always really good about keeping track of those bids from, rest in peace, the Pac-12 and the Big 12 and the Big 10. So I'm excited to see how those numbers go. And we're about halfway through, and they send us to commercial break on a cliffhanger. I'm excited for you to start really getting worried about Arizona State, Kansas State, and maybe Cincinnati.
My Cal Bears last year, I know Mike and I were crushed when they didn't get in. I thought that they were a tournament team last year. I had them in for a long part. Jake gave me a hard time because I even had the article ready to go for them. Still sitting in my inbox there, as it is not, never got to see the light of day. I might send that over to Cal's SID. But Jake, talk to me about Kentucky, 13-17. They're 29-24 overall. They had a lot of cancellations early in the season, 38 in the RPI. Clearly, the committee is leaning towards SEC.
Yeah, I mean, that's really kind of the million-dollar question is, did the SEC bargain to get these teams higher up in the hosting conversation, or is the committee really going to value the SEC? Metrically, when you look at some of those other teams on the bubble that are around them, they have better metrics than Xavier. They have better metrics than Arizona State and Oklahoma State. They had cancellations like Oklahoma State had due to weather. They had the 13 win, which I think gets you in at 70% of the time in the SEC. They never had that exclamation point to get them to 14 wins that would get them 100% in, as they got swept by Vandy via 2 walk-offs. Then in the tournament, OU bounced them. I know this probably isn't a metric that you should look at, but it is worth noting that of the 30 games in the SEC, Kentucky had leads in 28 of them. So they are very, very competitive in the most competitive league in the country. But again,
You got to win games, though, Jake. Got to
That
win
is
them.
true.
You can't lose those games. You can't, if you get leads, got to figure out a way to hold on to them, because I mean, wins at the end of the day are what matter, and they're not even at 30 wins, and you're talking about putting them in as an at-large.
I mean, the RPI is there. They had some games get canceled. They're going to beat Belmont 9 times out of 10. They played some double headers early in the season. But here's your question: do you think the committee will look at Kansas State's non-conference victory over Arkansas? Will look at its non-conference victory over Nebraska as kind of a deciding factor on the bubble? Because Arkansas is, a high quality team, top 5, and Kansas State beat them at a neutral site early in the season.
I think they got to take into effect some of these games where they win games on the road or neutral site, but they also got to take into effect some of these losses, because there's some bad losses for some of these teams that really didn't perform. Micah, I'm going to go to you here on this one, because I want to hear. I got 3 teams for you. Miami at 15-14 in conference. They're 31-24. RPI of 40. I have them in. Projections have them in, but they're right there on the bubble. Notre Dame 14-16 with 32-21. RPI of 48. I have them out because they don't have a winning conference record. And then I go down to Virginia, who's at 63 in the RPI, but they went 16-11 in conference, 32-18. For me, Virginia needs to be in this tournament. Otherwise, the RPI system's broken. I know that for a fact. But Virginia is a tournament team if I've ever seen them. 32-18 with a 16-11 in conference record. I mean, if you hold them out, what are we just saying, that the conference games in the ACC don't matter?
Yeah, I mean, it sucks because all of those teams should be in. I mean, the ACC is clear-cut the second best conference in college baseball. Noah might shake his head if he was in the picture frames because he loves us to stand the Big 12. But as someone who's at the Big 12 tournament, I don't think the Big 12 is up to the ACC just yet. They're getting better every year, but I don't think they're there yet. And yet, it's funny because a lot of people have Miami in, and it's going to sound like an anti-Miami rant, and that's going to stink because I don't think any of us here, Mark, I know you and I, we like Miami, you more so even than I do, but what is the point of those last 2 weekends where Miami went 1-5 against Virginia and Notre Dame? There's I hate to say it, but minus those 4 weeks, the last 3 weeks of April and that first week of May, Miami looked rough. I mean, they have also it's funny. Guess who else was on the bubble? UConn. Guess who won a series in Coral Gables back in either March or early April? UConn did. I hate to say it, but Miami, if I have to pick one of those 3, I'm picking Virginia. They had the better ACC record. Again, I understand the whole their RPI is rough. If they just play that series against Florida State, they are in the top 60 RPI. They're 56. Yeah. If they win 1, they are 52. If they win 2, they're 48. And guess what? That would be 18 ACC wins, and they're not even in this conversation right now.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that they go to Tallahassee and win 2 or 3. I think it's a fair assumption to say they get 1. Virginia really hadn't been swept much. They started playing their best baseball around that time. Florida State, too, had kind of been teetering a little bit. At the end of the day, and again, what the cancellation is something that Virginia, nor Florida State, but Virginia should not be punished for, because it's not like Virginia just didn't show up or the weather was they could have tried to move it around for weather situations. They had to shut that series down for that.
Yeah. It was the right call. It was what had to happen in there.
And if you send that message, this is awful to say, but let's just play the game. If Virginia gets left out and they're one of the last team ins because of their RPI, you are now sending a message that you have to play baseball games no matter what.
Yeah,
you are now sending a message
above everything.
You have to find a way to play those games. And it's like with the Oklahoma State thing and their fires. You'd be sending a message if you leave them out that they had to play West Virginia while the entire city's on fire. That's a ridiculous message to send.
It is. It is. Baseball should not be above everything else. You know that I've always been take care of your family and then take care of the rest of the stuff. And if you can't take care of your family and you're going to say, hey, that's not more important than what's going on for these young men, it's insanity to me. Virginia deserves to be in, especially with their pedigree and Coach O'Connor. I'd be shocked if they leave them out. But looking more and more at these SEC teams, it just blows my mind. Andrew, we're talking about teams that are all right there on the bubble. Xavier, UConn, Troy, Southeastern Louisiana. These are all these non-power conference teams. Their RPI ranges anywhere from Xavier at 39, UConn at 41, Troy at 46, who only lost 1 weekend series all freaking year. Southeast Louisiana sitting at 54. These are all teams that have a lot of wins. They amassed all the wins. They did all the things that everybody asked them to do. They all might be out on this bubble now.
Yeah, I mean, you need to perform in tournament time for the big for the Southland teams. I agreed with your statement earlier with it being a 2-bid Southland if both Southeastern and UT Rio Grande made it to the championship series. But then you got teams like Xavier and UConn that are forced to travel down south early on in the year. We talked about it on the live spaces last night, Noah, where Xavier and UConn, they traveled south. They are forced to go play all these like SEC schools. Well, not UConn, but Xavier. Xavier loaded it up. They lived out of a bus for like 2 weeks, going from LSU, Tulane, Alabama, Tennessee, Vanderbilt, just loading up on these RPI boosters, and they're getting their butts kicked. It wasn't even like a contest. So I think Troy should be in just because they only did lose one weekend series. It sucks that it was the final weekend
Bad
series
timing.
of the year. Yeah,
Bad
it was
timing.
terrible timing.
And losing 2 in the tournament too, and it would have been different. I think if they lose both games to Southern Miss, and you're like, okay, they lost to a host team. They didn't. They lost to an Old Dominion. That's a tough loss for them to start that tournament off. I think
also
that
fight back on that. Like, yeah, they didn't get swept, but losing games to Arkansas State, Marshall, go down the Sun Belt's not the world's deepest conference.
No.
Like, I understand like they didn't lose series, and we play a world where series matter. But if you're a mid-major team, you have to have a sweep to your name.
They had a
You
lot of
have
weeks where
one.
they went 2-2, Micah. I agree with you. They had a lot of weeks where they're like, oh, we're 2-2. We lost the midweek game and we lost a weekend game. Well, that's a 500 record for the week. So
like in a regional, you have to win 3 games. You can't just win 2. And that's where I'm like, I like Skylar Meets Club. I do. But if we're only being able to pick 4 on a list of 10, if you don't have a sweep, you should just be immediately chopped off the list. I'm sorry. Like, you have to win 3 games in a regional against good teams. You couldn't win 3 against Arkansas State and go down the list of other Sun Belt teams. So that way Arkansas State doesn't just catch a stray here. But
Micah, I know that you and I both have Oklahoma State in. Noah, I want to ask you about this Oklahoma State team. Do you think that they did enough in the tournament? And do you think that they have done enough with the 15-12 record, 28-23 overall, the RPI of 44? Yeah, they had a lot of games canceled. I feel like this Oklahoma State has done enough down the stretch here to get back into that conversation of being a team that's inside the bubble versus outside.
Yeah, I think they have as well. They're another team that won a Big 12 tournament game. That was kind of the icing on the cake. And even then, I think they might have been good regardless without that. And then they played really competitive against Kansas as well. Obviously, a loss is a loss, but it wasn't like they got run ruled like Kansas did the next game. They were very competitive with them and lost on a walk-off bloop. So Oklahoma State scheduled tremendously difficult this year, and Coach Holliday talked about that a lot. And again, like Micah said, you can't really punish them for games that they couldn't play. But we also can't guess how those games would have gone either. So I understand why the committee might be. It's hard to say. That's a series against West Virginia. That West Virginia team won the league. Oklahoma State wasn't playing great baseball for a long time. They got hot at the right time. But I think that it kind of boils down to, of all the 3 seeds, where would you rank Oklahoma State on, like, how do you want to play them? I think that they'd be pretty low. I'd rather play a lot of 3 seeds than I'd rather play Oklahoma State right now. A month ago, yeah, absolutely. Sign me up for Oklahoma State. But right now, they're playing fantastic baseball, and they certainly have the talent to go as far as they want to. They hosted a regional last year, and a lot of that talent is back, at least offensively. And Nolan Schubart's one of those players that you feel like he has to play in Omaha at some point in his career.
Agreed. Jake, you wanted to throw in something? Jake, you're muted, I believe. But the Atlantic Sun tournament also, I don't know how many people saw that. They had to rain out. They got cancellation. It ended up putting the Hatters of Stetson into the tournament over top of Florida Gulf Coast. Kind of a weird one. Florida Gulf Coast got the individual win in the tournament game that night, but then they had to play another game and it got canceled. So we're looking at it, seeing there. Jake, did you want to add anything onto that? The Hatters getting in? You're still muted.
I can jump in for Jake. I think
Go ahead. Let me have it, Andrew.
I think it's so dumb, especially since I am in Florida right now, and I was speaking with a D1 reporter that was at the AAC tournament who was thinking of going to the A-Sun if they did get out of that delay. And as I was driving home last night, I kept looking at updates. And then I finally get home around 8:00 and I see that they called it a couple hours later. And then I checked the weather at that time. It wasn't raining. I think it kind of says like you got to get that game in. Like, yep. I don't care. Like, would Stetson have won against FGCU? Most likely, but like I think it's unfair to the seniors on both teams, especially FGCU, that they did not get the auto bid. It's like their season just ended last night in a 1-1 tie. Yeah, you got a participation trophy, but yeah, I mean, I think they could have easily finished last night or like early this morning. Like play at 8 a.m. It's Florida. It's beautiful at 8 a.m. Play at 8 a.m. Have the like kind of ready. Like, okay, Stetson's going to be a 3 seed most likely, and FGCU would have been a 4 seed. That's the difference of like 2 teams at this point.
Yeah, but they got to have all the stuff in last night. That's the tough part of it. They had to have it all ready by last night. We do have the selection show going up here in the top left. It is going. It looks like a little bit choppy for us, but it is going out there. We'll be keeping an eye as they release these brackets individually for us. We're going to go through each one and do our live reactions while we watch this going on live. Happy y'all are joining us here again on College Baseball Central. Also, if you guys have not gone out and bought Chinook seeds yet, what are you doing? Go out there and go get yourself some Chinook seeds. Best seeds on the planet. Use code CBC, get 10% off your whole first order there. Cannot wait to go get some more seeds. They're going to meet us there in Omaha as well with a huge booth down there. Go visit. Let's look over here at Kyle Peterson, Mike Rooney, and Matt. God, Roon Dogs looks great. Let's go, Coach Rooney. I don't know how many of you know this story, but Coach Rooney did recruit me out of high school when he was with Pat Murphy.
Last year in
Arizona
Omaha,
State.
we had 4 SEC, 4 ACC. It doesn't feel like it's going to be like that this year for me. Most intriguing today, who's the 8? I feel like 1 through 7 was fairly agreed on with everybody. Who's the 8? Because we know that one makes a very big difference.
It is a great time of year. The Zesto milkshake and tournament.
Kyle Peterson says like 1 through 7 was agreed on by everybody. Who's everybody?
Yeah,
like that is one outlet that says that. Like everybody is 3 people in a room.
Half of the hosts comprised of SEC teams, 3 to the ACC, a couple of Big Ten hosts for the first time format. 12 months ago, those hosts were in the Pac-12. 2 Sun Belt hosts in Coastal and Southern Miss, Oregon State, the lone independent. And for the first time in this format, the Big 12 not represented in the host sites.
First time ever not represented.
Regular season.
Love the hat, by the way, Micah.
It's important to not just be one of the 16 regional host sites. You also want to be one of the top 8 national seeds, because then you can host a super regional in the best.
I don't know if anyone else is watching. We're a little bit behind on our stream, just an FYI.
Men's college.
Yeah,
I already know who the 1 through 4 are.
We mentioned being a top 8. KP mentioned it
here.
So we know the top 4 is going to be Vanderbilt, Texas, Arkansas, and Auburn.
North Carolina's in at 5.
North Carolina in at 5. That's still
LSU at
shocking
6.
to me. LSU's at 6. Wow. I did not have LSU in the top 8, honestly.
Hey, look at that. Top 8 out west. Sorry, I just spoiled top 8, but that's okay.
Oh, that is bad.
Seconds.
Oh, Oregon State
That is
Beavers. As projected, Oregon State does finish in the top 8. I figured with that RPI 7, I know that there's going to be a lot of people angry thinking that Coastal probably should have been in there. I don't think that Coastal was a top 8 seed, but I'm okay with this. I think that this is crazy, though, that we're looking at literally 6 SEC teams as national seeds.
Mark, I know you're an Oregon State guy, but I think that's egregious. I don't think they should be top 8.
Yeah, no.
I get it. And the metrics say probably not.
Here's my quarrel. If we're going to value this RPI stuff so damn much, why is Georgia 7 when their RPI is 3 or 2, one or the other? Like, what are we doing?
They were number 1 basically the whole year, too.
Yeah.
So first bracket here of Vanderbilt.
Wright State always goes to Nashville. I think Micah, was I on that with you, or was that JD? I kept saying Wright State always goes to Nashville. JD, I know you're watching, so go ahead and credit me for that.
Over there.
Oh my gosh! Wait, hold on. Do they put the 3 seed or the 2 seed on top?
They don't stay.
Louisville's a 2 seed?
No. Well, maybe if they're doing it that way.
You guys are ahead of our stream.
God, the 2 loves of my life are fighting it out in Nashville. I hate my life. I hate my life.
Louisville, East Tennessee State are facing each other, in the Nashville regional there with Vanderbilt. That's something extra.
Battle of the Barrel in regional. Vanderbilt. And
Yeah, I've got Wright State coming out of that.
I could see Louisville winning that one. I feel like Vandy should have gotten a better draw than that.
You see Louisville winning that one? Hello,
You
let me
bet.
tell you about this mid-major program that's about to go run some shit.
East, yeah, I like East Tennessee. I think that is a team that has shown a lot of pride this year and a lot of pride and go out there and winning some ball games.
We're looking at Hattiesburg, so that makes them the 16.
16 seed,
Southern
which
Miss
is
is
how
the
it should
16.
be if you're gonna if they're
Southern
gonna do
Miss
that.
better be the 16 seed. Like that's how it has to be. That's how I had it listed in my bracket.
All right, can you
there.
assholes stop leaking stuff?
Leaking.
That's
Yeah.
what's going on right now.
Yeah, with your stream that's 10 seconds ahead.
I mean,
haven't really
I'm
said
only
anything that
looking at the
wasn't on
live stream here
yet.
that's on our show, Jake, because I can't see the rest of it right now. Columbia.
Nick, are you excited? Your beloved Columbia Lions are
We might have
going
to
on a
make a
run.
rip out there.
Who saw Columbia more than me, though? I don't know. I don't know who saw Columbia more than me.
I watched every game of
Oh,
Columbia.
guys. All right, we got our first bubble team. Uh-oh.
We got a bubble
See,
team
now
for me to mark off.
That's leaking right there. He's leaking.
I'm just letting you know.
Miami is
We got our first bubble team.
in. I like that draw for Miami. That's a good
So
spot
far,
for
this
Miami to
region
be
is a
at.
gift for the 16 seed. This should be harder. Vanderbilt has the harder
Yeah,
region.
that's the regional in what? Since the Bush administration?
Who's the other team that's in that bracket? I can't
As
see yet.
expected,
We
Alabama.
haven't-
That makes sense.
Alabama?
They're the highest RPI.
I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that.
that is a great pull for Alabama, a 2 seed in Southern Miss.
Yep.
Yeah, they like that one.
They should be more
It's
excited
also
than
my
they are.
favorite road fans trying to get tickets at Southern Miss.
Miami is in, though, is the big story for me. I'm happy to see one bubble team go ACC's way, Micah.
Shout out Griffin Hughes and his father, Coach Hughes. I played against Coach Hughes growing up, and Griffin will probably be getting that start against Alabama, game 1.
All right, no Leah Van stuff around here.
And they both follow me, so I'm happy for that as well. Both Dad and Griff.
So, Marcus, that's 7 bubble spots left.
7 bubble spots left. I got the countdown going. I have my list. I'm marking in, out. We're keeping an eye on all this stuff here.
I'm going to be pretty surprised if Vanderbilt's not in Omaha, just looking at the way that lays out. But I don't want to disrespect Micah.
I mean, as the 1 seed, that's what really you should be looking at, right? Florida State gets the 9 seed so they're going to match up with Oregon State.
Yeah, Bethune-Cookman makes sense. That's like an hour and a half drive.
Yeah.
Sorry, I jumped the gun here. But I think that one was predictive, I think, if you believe in regionality.
Yeah, Bethune.
Oh. Okay, wait. Oh, wait.
Florida State.
Ooh. This is going to be fun.
Ooh.
Yeah, this is going to be fun.
Ooh,
I
I
like
like
Ooh,
Mississippi
shades of
State.
Elijah McNamee, 2018.
I love this poll for
And
all.
who's the
three
4th
of the
team? I can't see yet. They have
This
not.
is so unfair. Dude, this thing is
Northeastern.
All right.
I like
That is very. What did FSU do?
Boy,
Or-
they peed in somebody's Cheerios because that's not the East. That's not a very
Hopefully-
fun
hopefully
bracket.
what this
has
really
the,
is.
the home plate umpire from last year's Tennessee Florida State games actually on the committee, and he is just out for blood for all the complaints.
The true
Hopefully
winner.
this is really a large punishment for Oregon State and making it impossible for them to reach Omaha, because that's a fraudulent 8 seed right there. But they're going to play a tough team in a super regional no matter who it is, Mark. So congratulations.
Well, let's see who Oregon State gets here now.
Well, here's the thing. I will not be in Corvallis for the regional, I don't believe, unless I
think
go
we
between
are.
the 2 sites.
victory in SWAC history this year.
Oregon State. Who's getting sent up there? I did predict that Cal Poly would be sent up there.
San Diego.
Possibly. San Diego didn't win, Jake.
San Diego didn't
Jeez,
win.
even know baseball?
San Diego didn't win. St. Mary's won that conference.
And that's where they are going.
Oh, I thought they were going to be.
St.
in-
Mary's.
That's where they're going.
I said St. Mary's or San Jose State. So
Good for the Gales.
We're looking at some Arizona Wildcats, possibly. I know that
I
Micah
thought
has
Arizona
probably
would be
seen.
up there. Maybe Arizona State
the
would be
whole
on
bracket
that
at this
list.
point.
Kansas would be on that list. I thought that there's some teams out here that might get sent out here. I'm excited to see who the next 2 teams are.
Oh,
Oh, I know.
UNC.
No.
That's
Oh,
a bubble
no,
team
yeah.
in.
Guys,
TCU
Virginia's
just
done.
tweeted, we got some frogs coming. They just tweeted
that-
out. It's supposed to
Virginia
be
is
now.
done, boys. It's been fun.
That is
US,
a bubble team in.
they were probably one of the worst metric teams.
And TCU.
That's cool that one of TCU and Florida State are coming to Omaha. That's pretty cool.
That's a rough match. That's a rough seed for the 2 seed. That TCU getting dropped all the way down there. It says that they were 24th.
No. I think that's a good draw.
It's good for TCU.
It's a very
great
good draw
for TCU. TCU's got to be thrilled about this draw. USC was a bubble team that I had bubble out, and now they're clearly they're in. They're going down to Corvallis. They'll be down there at Goss.
Get ready for the Fort Worth Super Regional.
Ooh, yep.
Fort Worth versus Northeastern.
TCU Northeastern would be electric.
TCU Northeastern.
TCU Northeast, Mississippi State, TCU.
That'd be a good matchup.
All right.
Mississippi State,
North Carolina.
Oregon State
Hopefully
have a
they
lot
get an
of
easy
history as
draw
well.
since they got screwed on the seed line.
Number 5, UNC. We do
There's
that.
what's it? We haven't seen any teams at Chili's this year either. They've all been in these great facilities.
Holy Cross makes sense.
That was a Buffalo Wild Wings, Jake.
Good for them.
Yeah, Buffalo Wild Wings. They are the home
They're not a
of sport.
sponsor, so we're
That
not.
kid looks like he's about to break the trophy. It looks like it's about to separate when it bounces. Oh, wow. Wait.
All right.
Yeah, that's the 3 seed. So we're
Oh.
learning quickly that the top part is the
That's
3
the
seed.
3 seed, yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, wait a second. What?
Naughty.
Pause?
So far,
Noah's
pretty
team.
good draw for UNC. See who the 2 seed's going up to. Chapel Hill.
Oh,
Oklahoma.
Oh, a little old-fashioned
Nebraska,
rivalry
that's a
there
rivalry
in
right there.
Chapel Hill.
You know, that's a little higher than I thought Oklahoma might go. I didn't know if they'd be a 2 seed.
I genuinely think they may have rewarded North Carolina for their spot.
yes,
Like,
me too. Yeah.
It feels like it, right? Like that feels like
give them an Oklahoma's a dangerous team, but hasn't always pieced it together. Nebraska's playing great baseball, but obviously resume wise says that they need to be a lower end kind of 3 seed at that point with an RPI in the 60s or 70 range, somewhere in that ballpark.
And,
So,
and
like-
you're not going to see Kyson Witherspoon if you're UNC at this point.
Correct.
Like you're not going to see.
So I
Oklahoma
like that
State, so.
regional in terms of for
Ooh.
UNC's sake. Like it's not ridiculous.
We only get one of North Carolina and Oregon and Omaha. That makes me a little bit sick.
Yeah. That's
Ooh, Oregon is the 12 seed.
oh.
Let's fly together.
All-time uniform matchup though. Oregon, North Carolina. That'd be
That'd be
Utah
great.
Valley to
That'd be
Corvallis.
great.
Or,
So
to-
Utah Valley State.
Those jackets go pretty hard, boys. Cleanly dressed program right there.
I'm proud of the Wolverines.
The mascot in the backdrop. I don't know if you guys saw that, but that was electric. Cal Poly is
Poly.
a 3.
Cal Poly is the 3. I had them.
Wow,
as a
their
3.
RPI kind of screamed 2.
Yeah, winning that conference tournament
Yeah.
at the end.
Well,
kind of
Oregon might be getting screwed here with that that's a
Arizona.
rough.
Yeah, that's rough.
Oh,
Yes.
you have the Big West champion, the Big
You
12
get 2
champion.
hot teams coming in
And
there.
Utah
to
Valley's
Eugene.
playing very good baseball as a 4
Yeah.
seed. Like, whew.
The
Why does
Pac-12,
Arizona always-
is smiling in heaven right now, though, with an Oregon-Arizona matchup.
Remember last year they had the group of death too?
Yeah. It's been a couple years of tough draws there for Oregon. The 12 seed, though, not surprising. I kind of thought that they might match them up with Oregon State, so I'm glad to see that they did not.
That'll be good when Oregon State loses.
I do need to understand why they're a 12 though, because the RPI screams they should be a 15 or a 16. They didn't win the Big Ten tournament or even get to the final. I'm very confused by
They didn't
why
even
it's
make the
so high.
final
Like
bracket.
Coastal behind them seeding wise. Again, it doesn't matter if you're not a top 8, but like that just doesn't make sense.
Yeah, I had
Yeah, I
Coastal
agree.
ahead of them in my predictions as well, Micah. I did.
Coastal
I
had
had
an argument
Coastal-
to be a top 8 seed.
And hold on,
Yeah.
they're getting Fairfield as their 4 seed. Guys, Fairfield has an RPI of 68.
The highest 4 seed, possibly.
Possibly, yes.
Well,
Like-
look at who's the next 3 seed.
Oh my gosh.
East Carolina.
And they're going to give them NC State. Your bookmark it right now. NC State's going to be sent there. This is
NC
gonna be
State.
original.
Andrew's
Coastal.
implying that there's some craziness happening.
I thought
Andrew
it was
says
going to
this
be
2
NC
seed
State
is going to
or
be nuts.
Duke going down there.
Doesn't he?
Andrew,
like,
if it's the
like-
Jayhawks, I'm going to be upset. Oh, okay.
Florida
Oh.
Gators.
Oh, yeah. Good luck.
Oh,
Coastal.
go ahead and chalk that up. Sully's going back to Omaha.
Yeah.
Good
Well,
luck,
I think they
Coastal.
might
Who
be
do you know
having
they're lined up
three
with?
LSU.
Auburn. They're
Doesn't
lined up
matter.
with
Sully
Auburn.
doesn't lose supers.
Ooh.
They're lined up with Auburn. So it'll be Florida, ECU, Fairfield, and Coastal. None of those are still any of our
I
bubble
think
teams that we had on
that's
our
pretty
list.
good for the city of Conway. I like that for the
Yeah.
city of Conway because they hosted a week regional last time and I don't think they won it, but it was still a week regional.
Now
That'd
we're
be
going to look
good.
and see who Auburn has.
It's good for Conway to get all those ECU fans coming up too.
Yeah, that's going to be a loud regional. That's going to be a very packed house there.
It's going to be Jungle
if-
3.0. This Clearwater was
If-
2.0.
Ooh, CCSU has blocked CBC on Twitter, but if they rewarded North Carolina
Wait,
for
they
kind of screaming on the
blocked us on
feed line, I'm
Twitter?
interested who the 2 and 3 are going to be in Auburn.
Are they going to hurt Auburn?
Oh,
Why are we blocked by them on Twitter?
I made fun of
after
them in
Okay.
2020. They
Stetson
canceled a
is the
game
3
for
seed.
COVID
that
before.
should have been a
it was
4.
Wow.
yeah. No, Stetson should have been a 3.
Yeah,
Stetson.
Stetson is a 3, makes sense. Their
Yeah.
RPI's in the 50s.
They
Their
could have
RPI is good.
for the Mickey Mouse title.
NC
Okay.
State.
Title.
So far, Auburn is the biggest winner of this program.
Yes.
Although their super matchup is going to be tough.
They don't have anybody on the committee, right?
No,
No.
So like
they kicked them
very
off.
intrigued by how much love they're getting. Right now.
Honestly, I really like this draw for NC State. I think.
I mean, I think it's. I mean, if you can get past Stetson on game 1, like I don't think that Auburn is the world's scariest 2 seed, all things overall number 1 seed. Excuse me.
This
with
feels like
overall.
Florida.
Yeah, I don't
I-
hate that. If I'm NC State, I don't hate this draw.
don't-
you
I
might
don't
get
hate
a-
NC State versus ECU or against Florida in a super is going to be electric.
It's
No,
kind of
we-
crazy
Go
that
ahead and start
ECU.
out our Evo Shield Florida colored hats because
They are definitely shutting down our Omaha 8 from last year. We will not see matchups
Yes.
of those already coming back
it's
to
it's
Omaha.
kind of crazy that one of those 8 teams is coming to Omaha. Like one of those teams has to come here.
Yeah.
That just feels off.
Stetson.
Jake, as much as we love Stetson on this program, we do not want them in Omaha necessarily. That is not a good draw for Omaha.
I strongly
probably-
disagree.
Yeah, I think that. Can you imagine the Omaha casuals coming out to support Stetson?
Okay, so we have not seen any of our bubble Big 12 teams get in yet. We have seen one of our ACC teams in Miami. They were the highest RPI of our ACC teams that were on the bubble. We have not seen Kentucky. This is getting down to it, boys. I was shocked to see USC in as a bubble in team, but you're talking about we've got USC and Miami are the only 2 bubble teams out of the 8 spots. So we got 6 of those spots coming up down the rest of the show here. It's
Can
going
we
to be
talk about how
interesting.
loaded that side of the bracket's going to be if all the teams make it to Omaha? I mean, we still have LSU, Georgia, and Texas. I mean, that's going to be a loaded Omaha bracket if all 3 of those teams make it.
Well, I mean, there's some really good teams still left in this thing. Boy, I'm a little shocked right now that we've only seen 2 of the bubble teams so far that we've talked about. And I'm really shocked that USC was one of them. I think if you're Oregon State, you don't love to see the TCU coming up there and playing you. It's a very good TCU team. And then Florida State's good. They got to be pretty disappointed in their draw as well. That's tough with Northeastern and Mississippi State. Tough matchup there. But if they get through that one, I think Link Jarrett's got to feel pretty good about his chances of hosting a super there.
Yeah, I just looked it up. This is USC's first tournament appearance since 2015.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. I thought, they were playing really good baseball, and then when they lost their last weekend series, I thought that put them out. And then when they lost their way to get into the semifinals as being the 4 seed in the Big Ten, I thought that they would be out. I knew it was going to hurt Oregon's hosting opportunities to be a top 8 seed when they lost theirs, but man, USC being in squarely.
I actually got to see USC. I didn't think they were going to be a tournament at large when I saw them play Rice back in February, but credit to them for rebounding. I mean, it's a quality team that takes high quality at bats.
So that means Iowa's out then, right? Because you're not going to take 5 Big Ten teams into this tournament.
Correct.
We also haven't seen Yale yet, Mark.
Yeah, but we're not going to see Yale. I was trying to say that as nicely and diplomatically.
Wait,
as
we're not
possible.
doing a 3-bit Ivy League? What the heck are we even doing anymore?
What about
It should be an automatic bid for any program
Bracket
that's had a baseball team for over 125 years. And by
Just
the
to
way,
automatically get them in.
I haven't
Floating
seen
Marks all
Georgetown.
time low.
Georgetown hasn't got their first tournament appearance despite playing for 140 years. So maybe this will be the year for Georgetown.
Cool story. My mom is actually a master's degree from Georgetown.
That doesn't seem real. Are you adopted?
She got some super grant to go over there and take the classes over the summertime to go get her master's. So, yes, I do not have a master's degree, nor do I want one in education. That sounds like hell right now. So, I'm out. I just save the kids, Jake. That's what I do. I save the kids during the week.
Looks like we're coming back here.
All right.
Getting back into it. I can't wait. Where are we going to
Andrew,
go next?
Look at me. Don't look at the TV. Don't spoil it.
Oh no, I'm breaking some news right now. Sorry.
We know we got Texas in at the 2.
That's a good spot for them.
this
I
will
thought-
determine, Jake, if we're going to be spending a weekend together in Austin. So
This
no
is gonna be
pressure.
DBU.
UTS or I'm
Yeah,
Houston
One for one.
Christian.
called that one.
I'm telling you right now, the Huskies are coming. Watch out, boys.
This
They
Thursday
love-
might be interesting though. I don't have it on me right now, but
They love bunt. They love to bunt.
Okay.
Kansas State,
Oh.
one of our bubble teams in.
I didn't call them a bubble team, Mark. You did.
They had
you made them a bubble team.
yeah, but they were sixth
I
in that
kind of like
conference.
that. For D. Kennedy, Kansas State revenge game.
It's going to be UTSA. This-
UTSA getting the
that's
That's
2
a lock.
seed.
Yeah.
A lock.
Hey,
Yeah, that-
Jake,
They've
Jake,
known that all along.
Jake, I'm not going to Austin.
No.
I've seen every one of these teams at least twice this year. I'm
You're
good.
passing on that one.
I'm so mad we didn't get
You
a
can have it.
UTSA
It's all
game.
you, buddy.
I will not be there either.
I think Texas got to be fairly happy with their draw there. I think that this kind of
Happy. I think this is the easiest one we've seen so far. I mean, I don't mean
Yeah.
to disrespect. Like UTSA, they're a good ball club. They might be the easiest 2 seed.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd be
You've
careful
got a 3
disrespecting
seed in
Kansas State.
Kansas State who hasn't been playing the best of baseball as of late. And you've got Houston Christian who got hot in the Southland tournament, but like
Texas just
That's-
got paired up with UCLA.
UCLA. I had that prediction.
Jeez.
Number
Yeah,
three,
yeah,
UCLA.
just
Jim-
that
Jim's-
Omaha
they-
was on.
this is a path to Omaha, it feels like.
This is a
for the Texas
gift.
Fresno State.
I do like
Although
this from a like nostalgic
we'll
college
see you
baseball
here,
matchup. You know, a little Fresno State UCLA. I might have to fire that up on the old MVP NCAA baseball 06 later today.
Let's go.
I'd be shocked if UC Irvine was not the 2 here. Mark, would you
ASU.
agree? Arizona State,
You.
bubble.
Arizona State bubble team in.
And
RPI
over
of 49.
Oklahoma State.
They might
They
be leaving them. The committee might have seen my stuff and said, you know what, let's just piss Mike off. So I
And
think
UC
Yeah.
Irvine gets the 2
almost
seed.
might be.
Not
That's a
surprising.
really
here.
nice path for Texas. That's almost a
UC
lock.
Irvine at
Yeah.
Texas. That's going to be a rematch of 2014 College World Series Game 1. Fun fact.
Let's go.
Love that.
I think if you're Texas, you're very happy with this
Oh.
draw.
I will say it's a very aesthetically pleasing regional, this UCLA one, from if you liked college baseball when you were growing up with ASU, Irvine, UC, like Fresno, like those are all like out west powers that we've seen in Omaha in the last
If you're-
15 to 20 years.
If you're
It's kind of
17-year-old
attractive.
Mark Garland, you're peeing your pants with this region.
Yeah, like
You're
Mark,
very excited.
honestly, if you want to go out to LA, I don't blame you. Like this just sounds just like say goodbye to Jackie Robinson Stadium before it's too late. Like this could be a way to do it.
I'm gonna be at Oregon.
If you're a 2 seed, this is where I want to be if I'm a 2 seed.
Ole
Ole Miss
Miss
the
gets the
10.
10.
That feels a little high for them,
And
which means
their
that they were a
opponent-
lock pre-tournament.
Murray State.
I wish this one was at Murray State.
Oh my. This is setting up not
Ooh.
terrible.
This is the 3 seed here. We're gonna
All right.
release
All right.
Western Kentucky, the Hilltoppers.
Michael, we might be going to this one.
No.
Oh yeah,
Oh, hey, actually, yes. Yes, we are, Jake. Yes, we are. Because this is Georgia Tech's winning this. Oh, I exploded. I don't care. Georgia Tech's
How are they
winning this
winning it?
regional.
Michael, you called
Tech.
that.
Bookmark
You
it
just called that.
right
How did
now.
you do that?
Georgia Tech is winning this regional.
Wow, that's a great.
go
draw
ahead and
for
get us
Georgia
a
Tech. I
hotel
like that there
in
for them.
Oxford.
Folks, if you like what you're watching, we're going to give you coverage all throughout the whole tournament here. Make sure you like and subscribe. Come on and see us here at College Baseball Central. We have the YouTube channel up as well. We get you covered all across the country for every conference. We're going to have all 16 host sites also. We cannot wait. We got you covered everywhere across the country here. This one's a big one. I think Ole Miss there at 10 is a little bit high for them. I think Georgia Tech gets a good spot for Georgia Tech. I like this regional for Georgia Tech, Micah.
I like Western. Western can really swing it when I got to watch them earlier in the year.
They're
Yeah,
sweaty.
but they're
swell.
facing a team that can
Of
swing it
course,
probably
the
better
cherry
than them
on
in
the other
Georgia
side.
Tech.
We're going to get a Georgia Tech, Georgia.
I have
super
so many
regional.
Georgia Tech matchup tweets from like February that I can pull up. I'm excited.
There we go. That feels really low. I know we talked about it earlier, but that feels really low for Georgia.
Yeah, well, they can't pitch, so
Oh,
Yeah, I mean, they don't have a weekend rotation like we do.
Good plug right there, Mark. Well done. Hey, let's go. Sorry, I'm spoiling it. I don't care. Let's go. One of the
Oh,
two
yeah.
teams I'm wearing is in. One of the two teams.
They haven't released it for us yet. Who is that 3 seed? Did we lose the feed?
it's weird. I can see it on my
Which
screen.
means
Oklahoma State is in.
There we go.
Let's go.
Oh, and we got another one. This is a fun one. This is a fun
this
one.
is a fun one.
yeah, and it's funny because the next team announced Noah was giving me a hard time for in the hotel for being lazy about putting this matchup
Dude.
together. So,
That's why. And then what did I say, Mike? I said that's why you'll be right.
Wow.
he's
We
like,
might
you can't
see.
put Duke with Georgia. Wow, so lazy.
Yeah, but that's not a good sign when they're showing Georgia pitching highlights against Missouri.
Oklahoma State bubble team in. So they did reward them.
Dude, Oklahoma State, Georgia Tech Super Regional going to be electric.
Oh,
I could see a Duke Georgia Tech regional as well.
I could
think
too.
There's a lot of
Oklahoma
those teams
State's
in that
probably the
bracket
best
that could win. This is a good one. This is a good one. I like this. I like this bracket.
I'm low key down to go to Athens. Oh wait, they're going to send the Jayhawks here. I'm predicting it hasn't happened yet. I'm predicting it. The Jayhawks
we're
are going
running
here
out of spots
as
for-
I put in my bracket, which I will be so.
I've
excited
been
about.
envisioning it, Micah. So I'm right there with you. And I
Ooh,
talked
Little
to
Rock
Jay
going
Johnson
to LSU
yesterday
seems-
about Kansas. It just feels right.
I'm surprised the 4 seed they gave. Not that it really matters, but like considering regionality that they're sending him there is kind
Little
of.
Rock getting the
strange.
4 seed there, going to LSU. I
Like
mean,
you had a meatball with Fayetteville.
I thought that they'd go to Arkansas for sure.
Yeah.
Like, that felt like the easy pick.
Oh,
they were not looking forward
wow!
to it.
LSU getting a little bit of a gift now.
Rhode Island
First time?
getting the 3 seed.
This is news to me. I've never heard of it.
Wow, the committee taking care of LSU. That's strange.
Who gets taken care of, LSU or Texas?
Come on.
Look, they're
Show
even
me
dumb.
it.
They're
Show me-
like,
oh, this is not what we thought, Noah.
Okay.
This feels very hand-picked, guys.
Oh yeah.
DBU.
It would not surprise me if Jay Johnson was going to watch this later. So way to go, Jay! Congratulations, man.
yeah, go ahead and make those reservations for week 2.
I think if you're LSU, you are very excited.
Why
about
are
this
why are the
bracket.
two regionals closest to me not attractive at all to me? Like
DBU's
at
a good
all.
squad.
Do you
Hey,
trust DBU?
Micah, you can
Against
still fly out
Xavier.
west.
Hey Andrew, I don't know if you know this, but like I did a lot of ACC and Big 12 coverage this year. I just named 2 regionals with neither. Well, Kansas State, I guess, technically made the Texas one, but like I saw them enough this year to know I'm good on that one.
You can
So-
come. You can come. The what's it called? Tallahassee.
Tallahassee.
Are we going to send Rock Chalk to? Oh wait, we know now. Kansas is going to Arkansas, aren't they? Because they haven't announced
Yes.
Arkansas
Yeah.
yet. So
Yeah.
This could be a spot.
Clemson.
10-minute drive for the old Spartans of USC Upstate. Just go ahead and bookmark that now.
This has got to be. This feels like one of the regionals that Kentucky has.
Oh yeah, from the very beginning, I had Kentucky going here because there was no real 3-seed spot that made sense besides Clemson. So yeah,
We have 3 of the at-large spaces left.
Yep, and it's Kentucky.
Hey,
Kentucky
wait.
gets in one.
Good for them, man. They're going to be a force in that.
If you
region.
can't win 30 games, you shouldn't be an at-large team
I
unless you
very
have
much agree.
cancellations. And I
I
guess they
made
did
that.
have some, so we'll give them the benefit of the doubt. But
And then who is the 2 seed there?
Yep.
Come
That
on,
makes a lot
live
of sense to
stream.
me.
oh,
Show me-
yep, that makes sense. This math
West
is
Virginia. Yeah, that makes sense. I can see that.
That's a fun regional. Kentucky is
That is-
dangerous. West Virginia, obviously, we know what they're capable of. They're going to be fired up. Clemson had Clemson's issue is the first two days they're golden. It's after those if they don't get to the 2-0 spot, they're not leaving their region.
Well, Michael, we know one thing: somebody's getting suspended. We just don't know who.
True. Good point.
And
So we have
Clemson,
one regional left
out there, down the line up on top of that building. So that
I'm waiting for Kentucky to do some sort of stall tactic and Eric Bakich just to get a toss.
And it is Arkansas and Tennessee in the matchup, as I had predicted earlier as well.
Jesus Christ.
Are we going the 3 seed? Or going
This
Tennessee
is where
first?
if Virginia doesn't get called here, guys, I'm officially wrapping it up and calling it a day for the Hoos.
All right, so A&M can't go here.
By the way, we still have teams like Cincinnati on there.
A&M is out. Jake, A&M is out.
Yeah, A&M's out. They've been out.
Come on, show me some news.
Miami pitch. I kind of like this Miami squad. They're one of my favorite fours.
Well, guys, Virginia is done.
Cincinnati is in at the 3. They're one of our bubble team, that's a 3 seed, right? And everybody had D1 had them predicted as a 2 seed.
Crossland and Lindsey Nelson. He's going to hit a million.
Cincinnati is going to score 15 runs in their first game.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, Cincinnati Wake Forest is going to be first 1 to 20.
Wow.
That is going to be an offensive affair there at Lindsey Nelson.
If there are,
I'm gonna say the quiet part out loud. I might pick Cincinnati to win this regional. I've watched a lot of Wake. I've watched a lot of Tennessee. I've watched a lot of Cincinnati. That Cincinnati team is scrappy, man.
Does Miami of Ohio have any pitching? Because this is a hitting ballpark with hitters.
That means, Micah, that if Arkansas wants to go to Omaha, they might have to beat
everyone say a prayer for Miami of Ohio, not because they're not good, but because no matter who they're facing, every pop fly is leaving the yard.
Every team in that regional can hit home runs at a tremendous rate.
Arkansas.
Man, that is the team.
We have one at-large left.
This is going to be a fun little Midwest regional for old Noah here with the Bison of North Dakota State going there.
NDSU.
JD is going to send me a text about that. JD will be texting me about the Bison.
The Bison.
Hey,
they don't
shut
like
up.
Bison. It's Bison.
This is my regional. We're watching.
This is exactly kind of what was projected. Wow. Honestly, Noah, if this ends up being the 2 seed we think it is, this is a very
Noah's regional
for our friends.
Who else would it be, Micah? There's only 1 2 seed left. Either Kansas is not in the tournament or it's Kansas.
I mean, hey.
No, do you think you can ride on the plane with Creighton?
Oh, I will not be flying, Jake. But that is a good call.
So we are locked. That is it. Xavier out, UConn out, Troy out, Notre Dame out, A&M out, Southeast Louisiana out, Hawaii out, Virginia and Iowa out. Virginia is the one that blows my mind. I really
can I just snuck Hawaii in there, Mark? That was
yeah.
Missouri didn't make it either.
Where's Liberty?
Hey, Hawaii finished 3rd. Thank you. And
they stout in Arkansas Pine Bluff. They were a 4 seed.
If you went, Mark, Arkansas could be your Hawaii. They have a lot of Hawaiians.
They do. They got 2 Hawaiians, and they got an Australian.
There's 3 Hawaiians, Mark. You forgot about Susan.
I forgot about Susan. Well, gentlemen, that is the bracket set. Live reactions here, guys. I'm going to start with you guys. I'm going to ask you guys some questions about some of this stuff.
Wait a second. Was UConn left out?
UConn, yeah. I'll go over those teams one more time. So the teams that were left out: Xavier was left out, UConn is out, Troy is out, Notre Dame is out, A&M is out, Southeast Louisiana, Hawaii, Virginia, and Iowa all left out of this year's bracket. The biggest snub, obviously, for myself is thinking that Virginia not getting in with the 16-11 conference win in ACC is sickening. Obviously, it came down to all RPI for these folks making the selection committee. But it's a little surprising that some of these teams were left out. Which regional is the most exciting for you guys? Andrew, I'm going to start with you, being the newcomer on this weekend rotation for us on a selection Monday.
I really like the Arkansas one. I really like Creighton, Kansas, and Arkansas all fighting out, especially in Ed Cerveas' final year as head coach at Creighton. I do think we did get some little hand-fed brackets a little. I think that there should have been some better ones. I think that the Vanderbilt, Louisville, and ETSU one, that's going to be a solid one as well.
Micah, I know. No. Virginia did get Oklahoma State in. Which bracket are you most excited for? Which one intrigues you the most here?
I mean, I think the best one might be the one you're going to be at, Mark. I think that Eugene Regional is really, really good.
That's tough, man.
With
Oregon,
Cal Poly being
Utah Valley State, Cal Poly,
that's probably
Arizona.
the best 3 seed there is. Arizona, obviously, if Arizona stays hot, that's a team that can get to Omaha. Obviously, Oregon is a team that we know is capable, and Utah Valley is playing good baseball too. I don't think they're an easy out 4 seed, so I think that's a really good one. I mean, selfishly, I think the Coastal Carolina one's kind of fun too. When you've got Florida and ECU, like the ECU storyline, haven't been to Omaha. Felt like their season was dead in the water. Then they get hot in Clearwater. Obviously, Florida. I think I wouldn't be surprised if more brackets have Florida getting out of that than they have Coastal or anybody else for that matter getting out. So I think that one's kind of one to circle. So, I mean, I don't understand, and I'm not even going to bother listening to what the committee has to say, like what their reasoning is, because there's not going to be any logic. Because if you're going based off of RPI, then you got to have UConn in. Like, I just don't understand. Like, if you're going to tell us that the Big East is a 1-bid league only, then again, I'm not saying that the Big 12 didn't deserve 8, but the ACC only gets 9. I thought there was a bigger gap between 8 and 9. Like, Arizona State's logic is their RPI was good and they had 18 conference wins, and that's completely fair. But again, Virginia's RPI would be pretty much in the same boat if they play that Florida State. Like, you just sent a really bad message, in my opinion. I know it's not fair to say that that's what they're saying with that, but again, I'm a Virginia fan, so of course I'm going to be upset. But it just doesn't make what was the point of Virginia? Like, Virginia should have there's nothing they could have done. Like, the games got canceled the day of. Like, they couldn't reschedule a new opponent. Like, they literally got screwed by quite literally a disaster. So
yeah, Noah.
Just to follow up on Virginia, it wasn't like all their games got canceled. They did lose a lot of them as well.
They lost 18 games, Noah. There are 7 teams that got in the bubble with 20-plus losses.
Yeah.
They're 32-18.
Kentucky got in without even having 30 wins.
Bad non-conference strength of schedule, which, by the way, their non-conference schedule included James Madison, who last year made a run in the postseason but sucked ass this year. That's not their fault. They can't be blamed for JMU being bad this year. They played Navy, who was the Patriot League regular season champion. Or I guess Holy Cross was, but they were second place. Like, they played teams regionally. They played Liberty, who was, again, projected top 100 team, then ended up kind of sucking. Like, they did what they could. They went to Round Rock and played Oregon State, who was good. They played Minnesota, who was down this year. They played Oklahoma. Like, they did what they could. They went to Puerto Rico. It's not their fault that Michigan was rough and that field wasn't the greatest. Like, what does Virginia need to do?
Yeah.
And then they did their part in the ACC. They finished in 6th place in the second-best conference in college baseball.
They were
and
5
they lost
games over
game
500.
That started at 10:54 p.m. against Boston College by 1 or 2 runs. Like, it's just I don't get it, man. I don't get it. I don't.
Mike, I have a question for you.
What?
There's been a few rumors around O'Connor's name at Mississippi State and various other schools. Is this the conclusion?
This could be it. Honestly, it could be if he wants to be able to have leeway. I mean, we have 13 teams from one conference. The next closest is 9. If you can get a job in a conference that can, if you're told, hey, by the way, all you have to do is finish in the top 75% of your league, you're fine. Like, I don't blame anybody for taking that opportunity.
You only got to win 40% of your league games to get in.
I don't blame you one bit. I mean, especially if you're a guy like Brian O'Connor, who's got the ability to do that by just being himself. So, dude, this is, I mean, again, I get it. Like, I'm going to be salty. Like, do I think Virginia's going to make it to Omaha? No. But, I mean, that's what's hilarious was last year Florida got in for excuses. And now Virginia doesn't get the same kind of benefit of the doubt because, and Virginia had more of a case, in my opinion, based off of record, based off finish in their conference. Like, I mean, it's like, I'm sorry, Miami. You are so fortunate that you played a tough schedule and lost a decent amount of games. I mean, did they hit the 30-win threshold?
Yeah, they got 31.
They were 31 and what, 24?
31 and
25?
24.
Yeah, like Virginia lost 6 less games, won more games, swept them, but the RPI is all that mattered.
And they played well down the stretch.
And their
That's the thing that I
RPI was
looking at.
affected by a literal tragedy.
Yeah. That's craziness.
That is unbelievably dumb to me.
Yeah, that's tough. Noah, what bracket are you most excited for? Are you traveling to any of these brackets or hoping to?
So as I've said, I've been kind of booked on the Friday of regional play, which makes things a little bit interesting. So I'm certainly not fully committed to Fayetteville, but if I go anywhere, it's going to be Fayetteville. But I think Conway is the most interesting regional one. I think it was Micah who mentioned it. You have Florida, ECU in there, and a Coastal Carolina team that has, I think they've won, 19 games in a row now or something like that. Everybody talks about Northeastern's win streak, but Coastal is just a few games off that pace. So I think that's a really interesting team, and I think they got screwed. I think they maybe not entirely screwed, but I think they're too low of a seed. You talk about how 9 through 16 doesn't really matter, but I think that they were a lot closer to 8 than some of these other teams, 9 through 16. I really don't think Oregon State deserved a top 8 seed mark. I know you and your cronies certainly did. I know Los Beeves, if he's watching, is going to meme me when Oregon State goes to Omaha, but I think that Coastal Carolina certainly had an argument to be a top 8 seed, and instead they get a really tough regional. So I think while at the same time it makes for a really interesting regional, I think Coastal absolutely got screwed as much as anybody did today.
Jake, which one are you most excited to see? Are you going to any of these as well?
Yeah, Mike and I are probably either go to Ole Miss, Auburn, Florida State. I think are kind of in a topic of conversation, but
that is literally not the one I'm looking at hotels for. But hey, you do you. Boo.
All right, we'll figure it out. We'll edit that in post, as they say. But Florida State. I mean, first off, a SWAC team has never won a game, so the threshold to be considered one of the greatest SWAC teams ever is so minimally low. 1, 2, Florida State. I love storylines for teams that win the national championships. And Florida State has probably the greatest storyline of any team off of the tragedy. 3, Northeastern is the hottest team coming into the NCAA tournament off of their win streak. And then 4, Mississippi State heading back to Tallahassee, a place that they lived in 6 years ago during my sophomore year of college. Shades of Elijah McNamee. I think that's the...
Okay, all right. Hey, I said that when you're patronizing me. You haven't had that many chances to do it while I've been on camera this year, so I appreciate it. You getting your shots in, but don't patronize me.
But
listen, for me, I think that the Ole Miss regional is pretty exciting there because Georgia Tech, I think, is the big storyline there. I think that I like the Georgia Tech line there. I like Western Kentucky. I think that that's another big offensive regional. I also think looking up there at that Tennessee regional, and you're going Tennessee, Cincinnati, and Wake. I mean, those are all teams that could put up 20 in the blink of an eye. You could be seeing a huge offensive regional there for that one there. I'm excited for the bracket. I think that there's some missteps. I really think that there's a lot of these teams that are the 2 and 3 seeds that have a good chance of winning some of these regionals, and I look forward to some of the madness. I think that this is the most wide open season we've seen in a very long time in college baseball, where you could say teams 1 through 30 have a chance of getting to Omaha still. Yeah, Jake.
Wait. Oh, no, sorry. I was just saying.
You raised your hand.
Sorry, I was stretching. I'm pretty tight in my shoulders. I did a shoulder press this workout, so I'm pretty tight.
I wish this was like around the horn where we could give each other points. Then we could also
That'd be
just
negative.
freeze people.
I don't know if Jake would ever end up positive though, Noah. I think that I would just my trigger hand on Noah or not Jake would be so far down. All right, boys. Anything else you want to add before we end this live stream and get ready to discuss stuff in our own articles and get those all out for everybody? Andrew, why don't you start us off with anything?
My last thoughts. I think that I'm looking at this bracket right now, and I'm going to say one team to watch out for. Watch out for the Florida Gators. Sully knows how to win. He has not lost to Supers. I think Coastal did get really royally screwed here with both having ECU and Florida. ECU's getting hot at the right time. If ECU gets past UF and gets into that winner's game, I wouldn't be shocked to see Ethan Norby throw that game. Ethan Norby has some shades of Jake Agnos. So I wouldn't be shocked to see Florida or ECU make a little Cinderella run. I mean, Florida, not really Cinderella, but ECU having a nice little Cinderella run right here.
Okay. Jake, final thoughts when you look at this bracket?
It is set up so well for Texas to make Omaha. They're playing no major conferences. They're the only super regional and regional that doesn't have an ACC or an SEC team. They get a mid-major in UTSA that's a bad matchup for Texas. They get whoever comes out of that UCLA bracket. If I'm a Texas fan, I am booking my trip to Omaha.
Sounds like a team that's not going to make it there. Thanks, Jake. Mike, let's go to Noah. I'm going to let Micah go last. Noah?
Yeah, I think that obviously the two storylines that have concerned me the most this year would be Arkansas and Kansas, and they're playing each other. So that stands out to me, obviously, immediately. And then Jake mentions my hometown Creighton Blue Jays are in there as well. And then you get the North Dakota State for a Summit League flavor. It feels like if you could dream up a regional, it would be that for me. But at the same time, it's a nightmare. I really don't want those teams to play each other, but I'm excited to see it happen. I'm probably going to find myself in Fayetteville on Saturday and maybe Sunday. And I'm excited for that opportunity because I've been to Fayetteville one time before and it was an awesome experience. Pulled pork fries. I would argue that it's pound for pound the best atmosphere in the country. I know that's really debatable with Mississippi State. I've never been to Mississippi State, but I'm excited to see what it's like in the postseason because the whole reason I went to Fayetteville the first time was because I had watched them in the regional against Nebraska in 2021 on TV and thought I got to make it out there. So I went out the next year.
I love
Micah
it. I
can
love it.
attest to this. I think Arkansas is far and away the best.
I love the bracket here. I love these teams. I think there's a lot of storylines. Now it comes down to playing them. Micah, final thoughts here on this bracket.
I'm really scared about the sport, to be honest with you. Like, this is becoming like that was the one thing I loved about college baseball was it wasn't like football where it was like we just looked at conference affiliations and just gave people things. We're doing that now. Again, the SEC is the best conference in college baseball, but you've created a 14 gap from any other conference by doing what they did today. And again, sending a really I'm not saying this is what the committee did. At the end of the day, they have I want to preface this. The committee has the toughest job in the world. I genuinely feel bad for them. Like I don't hate a single committee member for what happened, but I don't like the message that comes across about, again, this Virginia thing is ridiculous because it's out of their control. They could have beaten Boston College at 1:00 in the morning in the ACC tournament, but would that even been enough? Because that would have actually hurt their RPI doesn't really benefit from that. So if they're 33-17 or 18, does that change anything? No idea. But besides that, I'm gonna make a prediction right now. There will be 8 hosts that will not get to super regionals.
Okay, I like that. I'm with you. I think that there's a lot of these teams that don't get out of their own regional. I think that this is a very open bracket. I think that there's a lot of good teams across the country. Micah, I'm with you. I think that we almost need to start looking at a minimum amount of conference wins to be able to be eligible for an at-large. You could win your conference tournament, sure, but like not being 500 in a conference and then still getting in is crazy to me. I know that we've had some teams that got in there from the SEC, but it's telling to me that there's 13 teams in the SEC that are that much better than the ACC teams that didn't get in. I don't believe it. I don't believe it one bit. There's, and the fact that Big 12 got so many teams in says a lot about their conference where they didn't get a single host, but they get 8 teams in the tournament. I mean, that's kind of crazy to me if you're going to give 8 teams.
And honestly, I know we've been standing Big 12 and ACC, but I'm pissed off for the Big East. That's a 2-bid league.
Yeah.
I mean, you could have gone with UConn or Xavier. I personally leaned UConn. I would have been fine either way. 3 bids, obviously, there should have been there.
It should have been 2.
I would have been more upset about, I'm more upset about a 1-bid league than a 3-bid league. Like if you told me that the Big East only got 1 bid and then Virginia was left out, I would have gone, what the heck happened? And that is what happened. So
and UConn did what they asked them to do, right? The committee asked you to go on the road and play tough teams. They asked you to build.
You put Miami in, who literally lost series to teams that are left out in the last month and back in March. UConn went on the road and took a series with that Miami team. I feel bad. Miami, I think, is a tournament-worthy team, but they're I just don't understand the logic of it. If do head-to-heads not necessarily matter anymore? I don't know. I don't know.
And UConn wins 17 games in conference. They went 17-4. They literally did everything you asked them to do as a team going on the road and playing tough games. So
expand,
folks.
Expand
the bracket.
No.
Expand the bracket to 70. I love it.
Then we had the same problem with teams 70 through 74. Don't expand the bracket. That is the dumbest thing.
80 teams.
80 teams is a lot.
He's patronizing me.
Thanks for joining us today. We will come out with you guys again. We'll be back joining you guys on Saturday, going over some of the regional action from the Friday night games. Cannot wait. We're going to have a whole bunch of people all over the country. For Andrew and Jake and Micah and Noah and myself, thanks for joining us on the Weekend Rotation. We'll see you guys again next Saturday morning.
Mark,
Let's
I really
go.
should have had my hand on the end stream button, but we're going to be